Guys, Uncle Live and Jan Blachowicz are going to go head-to-head for the World Championship this Saturday at UFC 282. And what's even better, DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC, has some awesome deals for you guys. All new customers sign up using promo code Sonnen. Bet just $5 on either fighter to win before the fight starts and get $150 in free bets if your bet wins. Want even more action? Combine multiple bets like which fighter will win, how long the fight will last, and more in one parlay to give you a shot at even bigger winnings. If mobile sports betting is not yet available in your state, DraftKings Daily Fantasy is giving all MMA fans a chance to cash out this weekend. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, guys, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, use promo code SON and bet just $5 on any UFC 282 fighter to win and get $150 in free bets if your bet wins. That's promo code SON and only at DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC. Paddy the Baddy is hosting something. I call it a podcast. I call everything a podcast, though. I think you guys do too, but that's not what it is. Like if there's a visual component, it's now called a video cast. Just to correct that, podcast is exclusive to only the audio, I think. Everything gets called a podcast now. Everything used to get called TV or it used to get called radio. Now you got some people that are trying to say that it lives digital, but nobody else knows what that means. Digital apparently means on the internet. I had to operate in that space, had meetings and discussions and emails, and even give responses and use the word digital. It turns out digital means online, I think. I don't actually know. I started podcasting. You guys remember Front Row Brian? I didn't know how to get into podcast. I told Front Row Brian, hey, I think I would like to do this. Brian gets online. He finds a contact. Next thing I know, I'm talking with Norm, getting on a plane, headed out to his office in Beverly Hills. At the time I started a podcast, though, I thought that was 2 words, pod space cast. And I only tell you that story because I think that it's kind of funny. I don't think of myself as an ignorant guy, and if I was, I wouldn't reveal in ignorance. I would keep that to myself. I just found that to be humorous because when you get into it, everybody's attempting to copy Joe Rogan because Joe's the biggest, but Joe's the first one to tell you, I don't have a plan or a strategy. I never did. And I believe it. I think that Joe just went out to have fun and wanted to put this out to the world, and it became something. And I digress in that area because prior to me doing this, I was the king of media for MMA. And all that meant is if you had an MMA show, you had a podcast, you had a video cast, you had a radio show, if you could get me, you would do more views than anybody else within the space that you could get to come on and do your show. So one day I get this bright idea that I'm going to start charging for those. Now, these are an opportunity. It is a media opportunity. If you don't see it that way, don't do it. Just stay out and don't do it. I'll share for you. You will get passed up by the folks that give up their time and go and do it. But if you look at anything else, you may look at as though you're being taken advantage of. I was doing a show on Fox. And this all started in 2012. And this went for my participation till roughly 2014. So somewhere within that window, we are going to have Mike Tyson on the show. Now, that's a thrill for me. That's a big thrill for me that I am going to be the guy. Mike's in a different studio. He's got the camera in front of him, right? It's via satellite, as the kids say. But I'm going to, which you guys now know as Zoom, I'm going to be the one that talks to Tyson. I'm going to welcome him in. Hey, here we are. Chael Sonnen over at Fox Studios joined by the former heavyweight champion Iron Mike Tyson. It's an exciting thing for me. So before this gets aired to the world, before any of you guys can see it, I say hello to Mike. It's very common. Now, when I'm doing my hello to Mike, before that's filmed, before we're live, before that's coming out to you guys, what seems as a nice gesture from me to my soon-to-be guest is an audio check. Somebody could either pop in and say, hey, Mike, count to 10, just so we've got his audio and his levels in the right place. Or the host can come in and say, hey, Mike, how are you doing? Chael here. And he can respond, I'm doing good, Chael. How's everything going? All right, that's a little bit more fun way of getting the count to 10 so that we've got Mike's audio. So I do that very thing. Now, you got to understand from my perspective, I'm excited. That's Iron Mike Tyson. Well, he didn't say it's nice to hear from you, Chael. He didn't say thank you for having me on. He didn't say everything was going great. His body language, first off, was very frustrated. You could tell by his body language he was frustrated, and his words caught up to the body language when he said, man, I've been sitting here for 15 minutes. Are you about ready? Now, not for nothing, even though that took some wind out of my sails, on a personal note, I understood it from Mike's perspective. I really did. If I'm inviting you on, I'm going to push your message. You got a book, you got a TV show, whatever it is that Mike had, I'm going to push your message. I'm going to do it for free. That is our trade. I'm going to get whatever I can out of that. If I can monetize that, use that for ratings, that's fair game and that goes for me. But if I am going to have you on for a 3-minute segment, but I made you sit in the chair 5 times longer than your segment's even going to be. I agree with Mike. And I have been through this to the point that it is though I have lost friends. I have lost relationships where people would not behind my back, man, that Chael was a really nice guy. There's a few people out there that wouldn't say that had a negative experience with me because we're trying to film something. They don't like it. They stop down and then they want to do the take again. And then they want to do the take again. And then they want to do the take again. And before you know it, I've spent an hour for what's going to be a 45-second piece of airtime. I side with Mike Tyson on this one. That's not equitable. I do have a message, and I can pay for commercials, or I can become interesting enough that I can get a spot on your show. I'm still advertising. I'm still selling something to the world, but this one's going to be free. It's going to be called organic. And not to mention, if it's on the show as opposed to a commercial break, it's going to be wildly more successful. Dollar saved is a dollar earned. So technically, I kind of am being paid to be here. But our agreement and our arrangement, when you need a take and a retake and another take. And so I explained this in what I thought was a very polite manner. Not the tone I'm speaking in right now. This isn't polite. I don't know that this is overly rude, Chael, but this isn't polite, Chael. But I did explain it in polite, Chael mannerisms. This is the take. This is the retake. This is let me get an angle. This is let me change that. This is let me adjust the microphone. So I explained to that person the two biggest things on television, absolutely and without question, are sports and the news. And you know what they have in common? They're live. You don't get to do it again. If you don't have the angle of Brady throwing the pass, you're never going to have it. You don't get to rewind it and he rethrows the pass. If you don't have the right view of the astronauts boarding the shuttle and the shuttle leaving Cape Canaveral, they don't bring it back so that you get a reset. Your camera's up. Now, I think that's a fair point by me. And I don't see a whole bunch of mess ups in sports and the news. I don't see when I'm watching these things live an announcer who's fumble or who audios go out or that could be better. I've seen it, but I can count it on one hand. I haven't seen on the news some shot or some angle that if that would have been done again, we could have seen it from a better point. That doesn't hold up. I think that that's logical by me. That doesn't hold up at all. The folks that are doing it, look at, are you insane? You are a very unreasonable person. Let me just get over here and let's do it again, and that will be even better. I'm going, how about we do it in one take? I mean, not for nothing. How about you prepare yourself to work in an industry that is the number one industry within your industry, which is live sport and live news. That's a good argument by me. Do you know how many times I've won that argument with people within the industry? None. None. They think it's a terrible argument. All right. Paddy the Baddy has Dana White come on. And Paddy the Baddy insulted Ariel. And he said that I hate journalists. And of course he's talking about within our space. That's the only space that he operates in. And I kind of got to stop you right there. First off, we've only got a couple of journalists. The Karen Bryants and the Ariel Helwanis, help me out there. Is there any other journalists? I believe Josh Gross. I would have to check that. But is there any actual journalist? Stephen Morocco should qualify for that, whether he ever went and got his degree in it or not. We have media. We have media. I'm media. I won't go and check and double check things. I'll tell you what I believe to be true in the moment. If I got it wrong, you know what? That's great, because I'll come in tomorrow and I'll do the same thing again, except tell you I had it wrong and then we'll go and fix it. A journalist won't do that. A journalist will get it right in the first place. Ariel Helwani does not report something if he has a source. He has to have multiple sources. That's his own code, or he won't put it out. So when you come out and you say that you hate journalists, do you mean that you hate media? Can we collect them all into the media in the first place? And it was more of that Ariel has guests on. That drives up the number of people that watch his show. That helps his views, thus helping his bottom line. It's like this great conspiracy cracked. It's this great code solved. And it was a very bizarre thing. It was a very bizarre thing for Paddy the Baddy to say to a promoter who operates purely and solely on that exact premise of having something interesting. It's a star-driven business, whether you like it or not, and the more people that come in, it affects the bottom line. I thought that was very bizarre. For Paddy the Baddy, a guy who operates under that promoter's arm with that exact same premise. I'm going to go out and fight for the more people that can be interested, and I'm going to get those people interested through talking, and I got to make sure I let them know the 5 W's, who, what, when, why, and where. I just thought it was a little bit odd. I used to share the stance of Paddy. And I even tested it one time. I am so good at media. My numbers draw so well, I am now going to charge to come on. So then the folks that had me on knew that the squeeze was worth the juice. I was going to change the entire industry if this caught on, though. So they did give me my money. On an agreement, you don't tell anybody that we gave you this money. And not for nothing, I felt right and I felt empowered. I did want to tell people, but I wanted the money more, so I didn't tell anybody. And in fairness, my amount of request did begin to go down. So which one do you want? That's why I just come back to the scenario that it is a media opportunity. If you don't see it like that, don't do it. Or you're going to have hard feelings. You're going to have hard feelings. You're going to be Mike Tyson sitting in the chair, uncomfortable. Why aren't they coming to me? Not understanding how commercial breaks, not understanding how technology, not having how hiccups happen, not understanding, Iron Mike, that when we told you to be in that chair at 2 o'clock, most people don't show up until 2:08, and God bless you, you were perfectly on time. We weren't ready for that. It's one of these things. You're either going to like it or you're not. You're going to enjoy it or you're not. And Paddy the Baddy did try that early on in his career. He did try the whole, I'm good, I move the needle. If I'm going to give you my time, you are going to give me some money. I don't know that anybody's wrong in their efforts here. The part of it that I don't like is where it's presented to you for what it is, but in a negative connotation. I don't have very many guests on over here. I'm not an interview format. I will have guests on. I will call them on the phone. I will Skype them in, and then I will drop it on social media, and I will only do any of those things if I think that they're big enough to move the needle and thus bring in more money. There's not a secret there. If you think there is and you think that you just cracked the code and you advertise the code to the world because you're the one that figured it out, you're a little bit stupid.